What does it mean to you to be honest? I've been thinking about this a lot in my journey and what's kind of led me to where I am in my life. And I know you guys have heard me talk about values, and my number one value is honesty. And I'm going to get into why. And I'm also going to talk about why honesty has transformed my life in such a beautiful way. But before I do, of course, I want to take a moment and read a review. And this is from Here's Ash, titled New Listener 100 out of 10 would recommend. So thank you for that. That's awesome. It says, my mother has sent me Michael at Broken posts on IG for a while. I finally decided to follow him because his posts encourage you to remove the victim mentality, to heal, and put things in perspective. Then I found his podcast. I've only listened to 2 episodes, and I am in awe. Excuse me. I am in such awe of how he teaches and encourages those who suffer from CPTSD and PTSD. It's real, it's heartfelt, it's relatable, it's uplifting. Definitely recommend. Well, thank you, Ash. I really appreciate that. One of the things about this show is as I continue to make it, it's really about giving people tools. And I started this show because I looked at my life and I thought, how do you really create massive change in the world? Like, how do I really build not only the life that I want to have, but the world that I want to live in? And it came from this place of getting really honest with myself. And I remember I was looking up the definition of honesty, and it said the definition of honesty is to be truthful, fair, or honorable. And I recognize, like, looking back on my life and my experience, there was the vast majority of my life in which I was none of those things. In part, that's learned behavior. I learned how to be a liar very young, and it was a survival mechanism. And the reason that it was a survival mechanism was because I came from a household in which, if you told the truth about marks or scars or bruises or the fact that you smelled like pee because your water didn't work, or if you were malnourished or exhausted because you were up all night getting beat, and you told, like, it was game over. And so I learned how to stop telling the truth. And a story I don't really share, I think I've only ever shared it once on the show, is when I was molested as a child, my mother, when I came to her to tell her, told me to never tell anyone that it happened. And that was because if anyone found out that we were the family that caused trouble, because I was getting pawned off in the church and living with strangers and different people. And she said, if anyone ever finds out, well, first and foremost, in her words, it was, I don't believe you. That wouldn't happen. And later I would come to understand the truth about it was her just basically being like, if anyone finds out, you're going to take away my scapegoat for dumping my kids off. And so I just learned how to lie. I learned how to lie in therapy at a very young age. After being molested and going to therapy, the therapist, when I told him what I was thinking, how I was feeling, whatever, would go and tell my parents. And so I learned how to stop telling the truth there. And then I learned how to stop telling the truth to my friends, to my family, when I started doing drugs and selling drugs, when I started stealing things and breaking into houses, started learning how to not tell the truth to people at school, to people I dated, the whole nine. And it just created this massively vicious spiral. And if you can relate to this, I want you to hear this. If any part of you is like, damn, yeah, I'm never honest, part of it is a defensive mechanism, and you have to acknowledge that. Part of it is survival, because when you tell the truth, bad shit happens to you. Like, you have to look at that in acknowledgement. As much as it sucks and I wish it weren't true, like, at the end of the day, it's the truth. Like, yes. The other part of this, and I think the more important part of it, is knowing and understanding that, and it feels weird even saying this because it's so cliche, is that the truth will set you free. And it's true. It really is. I have seen the greatest changes in my life, whether it's leaving relationships or quitting jobs or starting that thing. When I got in the mirror and was honest with myself and saw it through on the other side, I've seen those things, those ideas, those situations, those choices, those decisions that felt so real for me become the catalyst for all of the massive change in my life. I can pinpoint every time my life got better. I'm dead fucking serious. I want you to hear this. I can pinpoint every time that my life got better to me choosing to be honest. One of the more difficult aspects of honesty, especially when you grow up in trauma, is it feels like the only way that you can be honest is this thing about protection. And if you are honest, then you lose protection. And so you stop doing it as an adult, because now you recognize, and especially hopefully if listening to this show for a while, that my stance on this is very simple. You're no longer a child. And that means that what you have to do is start taking care of yourself today in this present moment. Look, you can't change the past. I cannot go back and change any of the lies, any of the cheating, any of the theft, any of the B&Es, none of the things that I've ever done in my life. I just can't. But what I can do today is be honest. Be honest with the people in my life, be honest with my friends, be honest with myself. You know, it's that thing that keeps us awake at night. If you're in your head at night because you're like, you have to share this thing, I promise you, if you don't do it, your life's not going to change. That's honesty. It's honesty in your values. Like, who are you really? What do you represent? And what do you want in the world? And it's looking at that and holding on to it and making it real and making it true for yourself. Honesty is about showing up every single day as you want to show up in the world. Like, I think about it like this. Like, I'm tattooed pretty heavily, right? I remember early on when I first started getting tattooed, people like, oh, why are you doing that? That tattoos are so gross, like whatever. I'm like, I'm living authentically as who I am. I'm in my honesty. I'm in my truth. Same thing as, you know, writing books and speaking on stages and hosting this podcast. You guys would not believe the number of emails that I get from people who are like, you have no right talking about these things because you don't have a college degree. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm going to do it anyway. Because in my honesty and my truth, this is how I need to show up for the world. And so what that means is showing up not only for myself, but because of the way I show up, it impacts my world. Because I look at this idea, this definition of honesty and fairness. I 100% spent the first 26 years of my life going, life's not fair, woe is me. And then I sat with it and I said, wait a second. If life's not fair and all I do is complain, but I feel like it's true that I'm supposed to do something about it, then wouldn't the honest decision here be to do something about it? And the answer unequivocally became yes. And that's what has led me to where I am in my life, because I said I'm willing to be honest with myself first. And that's how this works. And if you're unsure about it, it's totally understandable. I think being honest is like a learned skill. You've probably heard me say that about patience. I fully believe that patience is a learned skill, but I think honesty is too, because it's going to take time for you to get comfortable with it. It's going to take time for you to be okay with it. It's going to take time for you to be able to sit in it, because honesty is a new identity, especially if you haven't done it. And we learned a lot. You have got to hear what I'm saying. We learned to lie for safety, period. That's where it comes from. And so when you stop lying because you recognize your environment as a safe place, it then becomes an exercise of the willingness basically to suffer through it. The first times I started telling the truth, I mean, honestly, even today, like, it's fucking hard when I don't meet somebody in our value system, when there's a collision of values, when I've left a relationship, when I've fired an employee, when I've quit a job, when I've written a book, when I've lost on stage, when I don't get invited on stage, like whatever that thing is, like there's always this level of honesty I look at and I make meaning of it. And I go as deeply as I can into myself to ask myself, A, what am I learning from this? And B, how do I continue to show up more authentic every single day? That's the crux of all of this. The difference, one of the major differences between where you are and where you want to go is your ability to be super truthful with yourself. If you're in a relationship where you're not respected, you need to leave that relationship, because I'm going to tell you right now, what'll happen on the backside is you'll disrespect them. It'll happen every time. If you're in a job that you hate, you will stop showing up for that job in a way that you're contributing. And that's dishonest, because that means you are not working. And if you're not working and you're getting paid, you're stealing, right? That's dishonest. That's not true. If you're in friendships where you don't have a reciprocation of value, and you know that you've started to pull away because those people have either put up a wall or they're not bringing value to your life, or worse, they're taking from you, it's dishonest to stay in that friendship. This applies to your church, to the kind of car you drive, to the clothes you wear. Like right now, I'm dead serious. If you're wearing clothes that you don't want to wear because you want to fit in with other people, you're being a liar. You're being a liar. And look, you understand the foundation of that comes from the need to be in community. And community is one of the needs that lead to certainty. And certainty is one of the basic 6 human needs. And so when you have community, you have certainty and you feel safe. You see what that was? It's this circle. It's this circle. You get back to where you were because it started where I need to lie to feel safe. And that serves you until it doesn't. And guess what? It doesn't serve you anymore. So get real with yourself and get real with your environment and get real with the world. Because if you don't, you're going to get hurt. You're going to hurt people. You're going to be unsatisfied. You're going to break your values. And you're going to have to look in the mirror and wonder how the fuck your life turned into upside down. Step into honesty. Be compassionate with yourself in this journey, because I promise you, one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my life is learn how to be honest. I tell people all the time, ask me any question. Ask me any question, and I'm going to tell you the truth. You may not like it, but it will be the truth. And I think that's the key to life. That's the secret. And look, I'm going to fuck up. I'm not going to be honest 100% of the time. There's honesty in that. The fact that I know I'm going to lie, I'm honest in that. But I do my damnedest in that moment to be like, I don't know why I said that. I totally just made that up. That was bullshit. That was a lie. I'm sorry. This is the truth. Because it's autonomic in me. Like, it's safety. Like, shit, I'm like, if I lie, if somebody's going to find out something about me, that's terrifying. And then I go, you know what? The only way that I can put my head on the pillow at night and actually sleep is through the truth. So, my friends, challenge yourself today. Unbroken Nation, thank you so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, tell a friend. And until next time, my friends, be unbroken. I'll see you.